No wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now. I heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated. San Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in poop twice. It's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet.
It's finally happening. Bill Maher has turned his fire on Gavin Newsom, openly calling out how the California governor's policies are wrecking the state. What makes this shocking is that Maher has often defended Newsom in the past. But this time he doesn't hold back. He argues that excessive regulations and crushing taxes are slowly suffocating California. The rant is sharp, brutal, and genuinely funny. So hit subscribe, buckle up, and let's dive in.
Vast network of regulators, administrators, inspectors, contract reviewers, project managers, fee assessors, special commissioners, zoning officers, and consultants whose jobs seem to be to make sure nothing ever happens and then charge you for it. The people who answer the phone, "Permit office, how may I hinder you?"
Bill Maher goes after the California state government for its obsession with creating endless new agencies, offices, and task forces that accomplish almost nothing. Instead of solving real problems, bureaucracy keeps multiplying. Anyone living in California knows how ridiculous it's become. Even something simple like fixing a garage door can spiral into a nightmare involving multiple permits, fees, inspections, and long waits. What should take one afternoon stretches into weeks or months. Maher's argument isn't just about inconvenience. It's about a system that trips up regular people while government keeps expanding.
It feels like San Francisco is actually proud of being impossible. Asked about the toilet, a spokesman for the Department of Public Works said, "We are a city of public input." Okay, but I'm stepping in public output. Meanwhile, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building. You need 87 permits, 15 from the Planning Commission, 26 from the Public Utilities Commission and the Fire Department, 19 from building inspectors, 17 from the Public Works, 10 related to public spaces, and 1 from a guy in a t-shirt that says Federal Boob Inspector.
Nowhere is this madness clearer than housing in San Francisco. Building a home there isn't construction. It's a bureaucratic endurance test. Before laying a single brick, builders face environmental reviews, design boards, neighborhood hearings, compliance checks, and permit after permit. Each step costs time and money. By the time approval is granted, nearly 80% of the total budget can be gone, before construction even starts. Maher points out that this is a major reason housing in San Francisco is outrageously expensive. It's not just supply and demand. The system itself makes building nearly impossible for normal people.
15% of workers in America work for the government. That's 24 million people with one shared vision: to fine you if your mailbox is too big. They say a conservative is a liberal who just got mugged, but it could also be a liberal who just got cock-blocked trying to remodel a porch. Oh, yeah. Or got a parking ticket because their car was facing out instead of in. Last year, Wyoming began construction on the largest wind farm in North America that will power 2 million homes in Arizona, Nevada, and California. And to think, it only took 18 years. Not to build it, to approve it. 18 backlogged, knuckle-dragging, pencil-pushing, thumb-twaddling, ball-scratching years.
Then there's the clean energy disaster. It took 18 years to approve a wind power project that would bring energy to California from Wyoming. Let that sink in. In a time when politicians constantly preach urgency about climate change, a green energy project was buried under environmental reviews, hearings, lawsuits, and endless red tape for nearly 2 decades. By the time approval came, costs had exploded and technology had moved on. Maher calls this the ultimate contradiction. Leaders who talk non-stop about green energy but run systems that make it almost impossible to build.
There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. And this wasn't some magic toilet that catches your phone when you drop it. So then a private company took pity on San Francisco and offered to build them their toilet for free. But after, quote, project management, construction management, architecture and engineering fees, permits, civic design review, surveys, contract preparation, and cost estimation, the free toilet was still going to cost almost $1 million.
Maher then highlights the infamous San Francisco public toilet fiasco under Gavin Newsom's watch. What should have been a basic sanitation solution turned into a bureaucratic joke. Nearly $1 million was burned on consultants, planning, and administration. Committees were formed. Reviews dragged on. And after all that spending, Maher asks the obvious question. Was the toilet ever built? The answer: no. Not one usable facility. To Maher, it perfectly symbolizes progressive governance that spends fortunes on process and delivers nothing.
Estimates that if the red tape could be cut in everything that's currently stuck in the renewable queue, the United States would be 80% zero carbon in 7 years. The enemy to clean air isn't just big oil, it's big permitting. It's not that America isn't able to get anything done, it's that we're not allowed to. Of course there should be consideration of the environment on everything we build, but as so often happens on the left, they seem to have no ability to recognize when they've taken a concept way too far and are in fact hurting their own cause.
Yes, bureaucracy exists everywhere. But blue states like California take it to another level. Maher points to the state's treatment of the oil industry. Heavy regulations, new taxes, and constant oversight make business risky and expensive. Gavin Newsom even pushed a windfall profits tax on oil companies, on top of already high costs. According to federal data, California drivers pay some of the highest gas prices in the country. Major refiners like Phillips 66 and Valero have announced closures or considered leaving, citing the regulatory burden.
The giant that got tied down with 1,000 tiny ropes by Lilliputians, the horde of little people who do big damage. Build back better? Sounds good. So does shovel-ready jobs. Yeah, exactly. As Barack Obama once said, one of the biggest lessons he learned as president was there is no such thing as shovel-ready projects. Environmental impact statements used to be a few pages long. Now they're thousands of pages of legalistic nonsense and take an average of 4.5 years to complete, with thousands of bureaucrats filling out millions of paper forms that kill hundreds of forests to answer the question, is this good for the environment?
One of Maher's sharpest metaphors compares Newsom and other blue state governors to Gulliver, tied down by tiny Lilliputians. Each regulation seems small and harmless on its own, but together they become suffocating. Thousands of minor rules pile up year after year until governments can't move at all. Every board, permit, and compliance rule adds another rope. Maher argues this is how bureaucracy metastasizes into paralysis, especially in California.
People living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now.
According to Maher, Gavin Newsom and his inner circle simply can't think beyond bureaucracy. Every problem gets the same solution: Create a new agency, add more rules, promise reform, without simplifying anything. California doesn't lack money, talent, or ideas. It lacks leaders willing to dismantle their own systems. Housing, energy, and infrastructure remain broken not because solutions don't exist, but because no one wants to cut the red tape.
Not that there was ever any reason to build it in the first place, and not that there would be any reason to do it again. But just as an exercise in realizing how far we've regressed as the can-do people, I think we should all try to imagine how it will go down if we tried to sculpt Mount Rushmore out of a mountain today. First, we'd have to make the mountain handicap accessible, so we could hire handicapped people to work on the side of a mountain. Then there'd be a 10-year delay while we studied the effect of construction noise on the mating habits of woodchucks. Then another 10 years to obtain ethically sourced dynamite and find a sculptor who doesn't only work from home. And then another 2 years to apologize for being on Indian land.
To drive the point home, Maher jokes about what would happen if America tried to build Mount Rushmore today. What was once a bold engineering feat would now drown in environmental reviews, cultural impact studies, lawsuits, and public hearings. Costs would explode into the billions before a single face was carved. The project wouldn't be stopped by rock, but by paperwork. Maher uses this to show how modern governance, especially in blue states, has lost the ability to build anything ambitious.
Regulations that aren't necessary, I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. That is...
No, you know this about California. Come
No,
on.
I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism.
In the end, Bill Maher's critique of Gavin Newsom goes far deeper than jokes or viral clips. He's exposing a system that talks endlessly about progress but fails to deliver results. From absurd permits and stalled energy projects to million-dollar toilets that never appear, the pattern is clear. California isn't short on resources. It's drowning in red tape. And unless leaders simplify and streamline, the state's decline won't be a mystery. It'll be self-inflicted. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one on Coming Fist Fight.